we're going to talk about repairs right now, but one thing about making offers is if you're not making offers, if you're not putting out offers to anybody, if you're not talking to sellers, you're not talking to realtors, you're not talking to other investors, you're basically not in business. And so you have to be willing to make an offer or have a conversation. As far as the question about repairs, guys, let's talk about repairs for a second. So as a wholesale real estate investor, somebody who is focusing on identifying, analyzing, negotiating, and putting under contract deals, and then essentially flipping that deal like we talk about, repairs are important to us, but they're not the be-all, end-all to make the deal work. We have to know enough about the property and the condition the property's in to be able to get it to be flipped for the right price and be able to have enough interest in the property. So I want to talk about this. We talked about it today a little bit, like separating marketing from sales, right? Mike's pretty much focusing on sales in the business, and he's focusing on getting somebody who's already interested to buy a deal or buy an opportunity to invest into a property. So his job is to get them from interest to basically closing, and we have the need also to get people interested to begin with. And so, how do we get people interested? We get people. We market to people. We have different forms of marketing through email marketing, text message marketing, phone marketing. Marketing is going to get people interested, and then from interest we have to go to sale. And so, to convert from interest to sale, you have to know your numbers. You have to know the facts. You have to know different pieces of information. So I know Mike's on the phone most of the time with people asking. They're asking questions about how much is the property worth. Do you know what the repairs are? How do I get inside the house? Right, Mike? These are some of the things people ask you about. So as far as repairs goes, guys, repairs is one of those questions. However, it's not the only question you're going to get. And so, moreover, you're not the person going into the property, investing all of your own money or all of somebody else's money and doing that deal yourself. So as a wholesale investor, it's important for you to be able to analyze deals quickly, negotiate deals quickly, and go under contract quickly. Obviously, identify them first, but go all those 3 steps. And to do that effectively, you have to have a system to estimate repairs. And so one of the systems that we use, okay, it's a tool that we're constantly evolving. It's called 5-minute offers. It's a tool that we use to actually help us analyze deals quickly and effectively. And so, I'm sorry, there's a question up there, square footage method or itemized method. There's 2 different ways, correct. The square footage method is what 5-minute offers essentially is rooted upon. So it says that, there's 4 questions that we want to answer, guys. If you check out MIN, so number 5, MINoffers.com. We're going to go ahead and rebrand that at some point in the future. It's something that we've been wanting to do. We got to come up with a name for it. If you have any suggestions, feel free to submit those to us. But nonetheless, guys, this tool is very simplistic, but it's also very powerful in a sense that it takes 4 questions to be answered. Number 1 is, what do you think the property is worth? Okay, I think that's the first question, right? What is the property worth? What's the ARV, the estimated ARV of that property? How do we find that out? We have to comp the property out. The next question is going to be, how large is this house? How many square feet is the house? Is it 2,000 square feet? Is it 1,500 square feet? What's the size of this house, right? And that house, it's the size of it that matters, because you want to know how much work you have to do inside of that space. If it's only a few hundred square feet of a house, you're going to have a lot less work to do than a few thousand square feet of a house. So the square footage of that property is going to be super important for you. And so you're going to have to make sure you know the square footage. That's the second question. That's available through public record. You can look it up online. You can usually find it on Zillow as well. It's all over the place. You can find that data out. The third question is going to be, what's the extent of the repairs in terms of qualitative information? So is it a light rehab? Is it a medium rehab? Is it a heavy rehab? Or is it a super heavy rehab? We just talked about this literally a few minutes ago with Tyler. We're doing a video about this. Light rehabs, guys, is like a cosmetic rehab. It's like things where you're doing kitchen, bath, maybe you're doing some cosmetic stuff like painting, you're doing some carpeting, you're doing some basic tile work, that kind of thing. As far as anything above that, now you're getting into medium. Now you're talking about doing stuff in the cosmetic world plus additional work. So you have to replace systems. You have to do a new HVAC system. You have to put in a new furnace. You have to put in a new hot water heater. You have to do siding and windows. You have to do a roof. Adding in another piece into that equation is going to make you go into the medium level. And we're going to talk about what these things mean. You might be like, well, Doug, how is medium going to help me? That does not, it's not a number at all. How do I do anything with that? We're going to talk about that in a moment. So bear with me for a minute. We have 2 more to talk about. We have light, which is basic, like I said, cosmetic. Medium, which is cosmetic plus a little bit more. The next one is heavy. Heavy is basically, by the way, this system we developed ourselves with multiple inputs from other people that actually know the business of rehabbing houses and actually know the business of construction. So we know that it's effective. We know that it works. It's a system we use and it works pretty well. The third step, guys, is to know basically the extent of the rehabs, like we said. We're talking about light, medium, now we're going heavy. Heavy is the next level. Heavy is like, I'm literally doing everything in the house except for rebuilding, the inside the walls. Like, I'm not doing anything with electrical typically. I'm not doing plumbing. I'm literally down to the studs though. I have to put, new sheetrock in potentially. I have to take out some mold, put in some new sheetrock, spackle, paint, all that kind of stuff. And I have to literally touch every part of the house. So this is like updating an entire house, like taking care of an entire rehab from start to finish, first floor to the top floor, on the outside of the house, on the inside of the house, everything above. That's what a heavy is defined as in my viewpoint. Now you can define it differently depending on your market and depending on different rehabbers and different people have different methodologies, but we're getting to a method that simplifies the complexity of rehabbing and what the costs are to do these things. So that's the first, your first three things. The last one is called super heavy or excessive. Okay, excessive is like, hey, listen, you know what? I'm not even sure if I'm going to rehab this house. I might just knock it down to either the base, the basement, basically the foundation, the crawl space, whatever. I might just not even touch the house. I might just walk away because it's so much work. That's a kind of extent of repairs we're talking about with excessive. And so those four parameters, okay, light we're going to use in New Jersey, or based on the cost of materials and the cost of labor in New Jersey. Light, we're looking at about $20 a square foot. $20 a square foot will be a relative estimate of what you can expect for doing a light rehab in the state of New Jersey, okay, where we are. Light, again, is $20 a square foot. So what do? You take that $20, you multiply it by the size of the house. 20 times 2,000 is $40,000. $40,000 is a reasonable estimate for a light rehab to a 2,000 square foot house in most markets in New Jersey. Now, median is going to be $35 a square foot. $35 because now we're doing more work, we're doing different kinds of work. Heavy is going to be $60 a square foot, and super heavy is going to be 75 and up, depending on the extent of the rehab, depending on how bad excessively it really is. So, guys, you have to have a range to go with, okay, an idea on qualitative first, and then make it into quantitative. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy trying to break everything down every single step of the way. Now, if you're rehabbing a house, you have to have a scope of work to go by. What's the question there? Let's see. What big ticket items can offset the square foot method? Things like, okay, oil tank, for instance. Underground oil tank can offset the method. Structural damage to the house. Excessive mold in the house. It has to be remediated and maybe tested and different things done to it. Not just a typical like little bit of mold in the basement or a little bit of mold somewhere else in the house. If it's in a flood zone, obviously that's a different story. That's not repairs, but that could cause the rehab value to be less. The ARV could be less because of a flood zone. Flood zones is a whole other discussion. Maybe if we have time today, we'll talk about flood zones. But guys, listen, there's a lot of different things that can affect it. Anything that's more than $10,000, I would say, is a good number. Or $7,000 of a repair can be significant. And so especially, like I said, oil tank, structural damage, and any sort of water problem is usually significant. When you talk about septic, for instance, underground septic, $40,000 or more sometimes to do those septic tanks. So, pulling a pool out of the ground, taking an in-ground pool and having to deconstruct it, basically fill it up with sand and then pave over it or basically put like dirt on top of it, that can cost money, even though it's just dirt. Honestly, if you guys don't know this, but now, if you want to start a new business and you're willing to take on the project, real estate investing is great, but if you know construction or you're interested in that, you should look into like anything to do with soil and dirt, basically. Like a little excavation business and soil remediation business is big money because people aren't willing to do that. And its reality is, like, I know a couple of friends of mine that do both of those businesses and they make a whole bunch of money. But the point is, guys, it's not cheap to just fill up a pool sometimes and repave over the top of it with concrete or pavers. It just depends on the deal, but those are some things to think about as far as things that would bring it to be a higher, expensive repair than what we typically would expect. Now, as far as the question was also around the scope of work method. So, scope of work method literally says I go line by line. Every single item has to get done, and I price out every single detail. There are people that rehab that have to do that. They have to get real estimates from real contractors and go actually do the property and do the rehab to the house. We're talking about quickly analyzing, quickly deciphering if this offer is a good number or not. That's what you want to be. You need to be efficient as a wholesaler investor. You need to move quickly onto the next deal, move on to the next deal, not focus on just that one deal at a time and just the scope of work at that one moment. So if you want to do scope of work method, you can actually get a scope of work pretty much anywhere on the internet. There's usually, if you look up just like scope of work for fixing up houses, you could probably find 10 different templates, and it depends on the market you're in. So we use one in New Jersey that we're very comfortable with. If you're a student of ours that needs that access to that, you should have it actually in part of the resources folder. And walking through Home Depot, pricing nails and wood, I missed that. No, you're not pricing nails and wood. Usually you're going to have those numbers already determined. In fact, there's some people that have scope of work literally based on the Home Depot price list, which I think is even more excessive. Like, you want to have a number for a kitchen. You want to have an amount that you're going to spend for a kitchen. You want to have an amount that you're going to spend for a bathroom. You're going to have an amount that you're spend for painting per square foot. Amount that you're going to pay for, doing, let's say, paving a paver patio or doing like a driveway, sealing a driveway. Those, you're going to have different amounts you can use for those things. But again, this is more into the world of rehabbing a house as opposed to just flipping the deal. It's not as important if you're just flipping a deal because you're going based on estimates. And I want to roll back for a second, guys. I know hopefully I'm answering the questions here, but I'm giving you guys some food for thought and some really good tips, in my opinion, because basically we need to generate enough interest in the deal. When we show this opportunity to somebody else, they need to be interested enough in the deal to want to go look at it and tell us what they think it's actually worth and what they think it's going to take to fix the house. Because if they're not comfortable themselves, it doesn't matter what number I give them to think about, they're going to make the decision regardless. So I can give them any number I want, so I can pick a number out of a hat, and that's not gonna make a difference. They're gonna come up with their own number anyway. So we have to be efficient in giving a number for estimation. We wanna be accurate as best as possible, but they should also know we're not in the business of construction, right? Now, if you wanna be fancy and you wanna be inefficient and you wanna, go excessive, in my opinion, you could actually get a contractor potentially to be on your team and go do a pre-evaluation of every single deal. We've thought about it before. We're still considering doing it only because of the volume of deals. I see there's a question, an inexperienced wholesaler waste time. Yeah, we can't have you wasting time, guys. We got to have quick, answers, quick movement, lots of offers, lots of analysis done very quickly. So we have to use systems, tools, and people, right? We do systems, technology, and people. Those are the three ways we automate and systematize things. And so when it comes to estimation repairs, again, check out www.5minoffers.com.